guys, welcome back to my channel. So I decided to film outside today because why not? So in today's video, as the title suggests, I'm going to be talking about some things I wish I knew before coming to Canada. And if you're planning to come to Canada, then I suggest you watch this video. So if you're new, welcome, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for joining me again on this video, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Okay, so I'm just going to jump into it. I have my book here of things that I've written down, all the things that I wish I knew before I came here, that I did not know, that I wish somebody would have told me, or there was a video like the one I'm doing now out there that would have prepared me for some of these things. And that's why I'm doing this video, because I know lots of you are looking to come to Canada. And listen, it's a wonderful place, you know. That's that's a disclaimer. Wonderful place. Would definitely suggest coming here. I do have a video on my channel already talking about the reasons you should move to Canada. These aren't reasons why you should not, but these are reasons I believe. These are things that you should definitely think about before coming. So I'm just going to go through a few of them, and yeah. So the first thing is, and I knew this before coming here, but I didn't realize to what extent, but Canada is expensive, like very expensive. The taxes are crazy, like them tax everything them tax. So prepare for that. Is a very expensive country. Clothes is expensive, shoes is expensive. It's just expensive. It's expensive. The only thing that I wouldn't say is necessarily expensive is food. I don't think food isn't expensive, but other things very expensive. And of course it sort of balances itself out because of the earning potential that you have here. So you have an opportunity to earn a lot more, so you are actually able to afford the cost of living. So that's the first thing, the taxes, and it's very expensive, so bear that in mind. Okay, so the second thing here is food sucks. I don't know why I thought that the food here would be like, you know, first world country, food bomb and everything, but the food here is not it. When I came first, I was like, what is this? Everything just tasted different to me. And I'm coming from a country where everything is, you know, well seasoned, have flavor, fresh fruits and vegetables. And I realized that everything here, and I should have known, of course, because, you know, first world country, everything is just genetically engineered and modified, and I was very scared of that because, I mean, I'm not the healthiest person in the world, but I do try to be mindful of what I put in my body. And I would pick up like fruits and veggies in the supermarket, and they would be in the fridge or like on the counter for weeks and not spoil. And I'm like, that's not normal. Like back home, if I had veggies or fruits past 3 days, it go bad. That's because it's fresh. Like, but may I tell you, they put stuff in these things, even the flowers, the bouquet flowers that you can buy at the supermarket that are so pretty and they're nice and everything. They even paint them with like red dyes and yellow dyes to make them look fresh, because of course in the winter time you still have flowers available for you to purchase, and then you're like, I mean, it's winter, like how do they have flowers? It's because everything is genetically modified, so like the food tastes off, like really off. You know what, let me not exaggerate. The food tastes off, but eventually, of course, you get used to it. I try to purchase a lot of Jamaican foods because they have Jamaican they have a section in the supermarket where you can get Caribbean food, and if you're from like other countries like India or Asia, you can get that kind of food. So I try to purchase things that obviously I know, but those things too are not necessarily the freshest because they're like tin stuff like the tin akene, tin color and stuff like that. But then their fresh things are genetically modified. So I would say that, and then those are like the normal things that you can purchase, right? Um, but of course, you have the organic stuff, which is what we would be used to back in Jamaica because we get farm fresh stuff, right? So they have organic fruits, organic vegetables, but of course, that is way more expensive than the normal fruits and veggies that cost less. So it's like, okay, if you want to eat healthier or be mindful about the things that you put in your body, it's going to cost. So it's either you eat the genetically modified things and risk having all kind of diseases in the next how many years, or you pay the extra money now to um to eat healthier. Even the eggs, like, oh, I'm gonna stop here, but I could go on and on and on about the food. So I could stop, and that's why a lot of people they come here and you're like, after a year or 2 years they blow up, like they look a lot bigger, and they do get bigger because it's not necessarily because they're like eating unhealthy or them just, I mean some people do, but it's just that the things are genetically modified, so it's different from what we would normally eat. And unfortunately not everybody can afford to eat things that are organic because they're very expensive. So be mindful of that for when you are coming. So the third thing is loneliness, depression, and anxiety. I feel like this is a video that I'm going to do separately from this, but I wanted to touch on it. This is probably the loneliest coming here. I felt lonely in life, of course, because I've lived alone and everything before, but the loneliness that I've experienced here, I've never felt before in my life. And I have people around me. Depression and anxiety, things that I've never had to deal with before, I've had to come here and deal with. And it's really because of the makeup. Of course, you're gonna it has to do with the fact that, okay, you're in a new country, you're adjusting, and you're gonna get homesickness. But separate and apart from that, people aren't as, how would I say, everybody's kind of there, like in their own lane doing their own thing. Nobody really cares about you so much because it's like everybody's just on go 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 go. It's not like Jamaica where, you know, your neighbor will check up on you and you see people, like, a lot of times, even though I'm outside, I have not seen anybody. And usually back home, you open your door and people are all over the place, and you hear a boombox man would have pass, or there's a life around you. Even if you are alone in your own space, there's still life around. Here it's like there's nobody. And it's even worse in the winter time when it's cold, it's dark, it's lonely, you feel like you don't have anybody, and I could go on and on and on. But that is something to consider when coming here. It's not something that I feel like will last forever, but if you're not careful, you will jump into that hole and never come back out. So having support is very, 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 very important. So the fourth thing that I wanted to talk about is, should I even mention this? I'll just speak on it briefly and maybe do a separate video on it if you guys would like. The men here are different. And the only thing that I will say to this is, if you're a female, of course, a man back home where you are now and you're coming to Canada, bring him with you. Bring him with you. Because yeah, that's where I'm going to end that. So the next thing is so I've always been told before that Canada, the persons in Canada, Canadians are like very nice people and they're very polite and all of that, and that is true. However, I have noticed this passive aggressive behavior from um, Canadian persons, mostly white Canadians, not black Canadians. There's a source of passive aggressiveness that if you're not careful and if you're not discerning and you're not able to really read people's body language and stuff like that, you get very confused. And I sort of saw this in the workplace. So like a manager or supervisor will say something like they're not pleased with something, and instead of saying outright, they do this like passive aggressive thing where it's like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's not like Jamaicans where if we're not happy with something, we're just going to come out and say it. Here is like a guessing game. Like, is she mad at me or something? Did I do something? So you have to be very careful with that. You have to be very discerning. Not everything that someone says to you just because it's said in a very chirpy voice, or they're like you have to sort of read between the lines and look for undertones and stuff like that and read people's body language. So yeah, look out for the passive aggressiveness. Next thing is, okay, so Canada is known for its orderliness, right? It's a very orderly country. Crime rate is very low. Wonderful country to live, and you don't have to worry about certain things when it comes on to violence and being able to a lot of red tape and stuff like that. However, sometimes the country is orderly to a fault, and sometimes the country is orderly to a fault, and I'm going to use a few examples. So, for example, getting your driver's license. My God, one of the hardest something for getting out of the country if you get your driver's license, because they put you through so many things just to ensure that you are able to drive properly on the roads. I mean, that not really. I mean, I guess it would work. It makes sense, I guess. But in a country where you can't just walk, go down the road, get to where you need to get to, and in the wintertime when you really need to have a car, to drive to work or to get around if you have kids. Being outside in the winter is no joke. Not even like walking from here to the bus stop. It is very hard. I've experienced it myself. So having a vehicle is like, it's like gold hair. Having your driver's license is like gold hair. And they put you through so much. So if you've never had a driver's license before, whether you were born here or you're coming from another country, you've never had a driver's license, you have to first do a knowledge test, pass the knowledge test, and get your G1 driver's license, which is basically a learner, so you can't drive with it unless you are in a car with someone. However, if you've never had your driver's license, you have to wait 8 months to a year before you are able to even book your driving test to do to get your G2, which would allow you to actually drive by yourself, but still with some restrictions because you can't drive on the highways and all of that. So, and then after that, no, you have to go back and do another driving test to get your G, which would allow you to drive on the highways, little restrictions. So it's very, very difficult. If you do have your driver's license from back home, though, you are able to skip the 8 month waiting period. However, because of the pandemic and everything right now, if you're to go on their site to book a driving test, 2022, like what? So that's just like an example of how the lawfulness is kind. It's like what is going on here. You can't drink in public. You can't go to the park and like bring beer or wine or anything. You will them will lock you up, right? So that's illegal. It is illegal, and they enforce these things. So they are very orderly, but sometimes to a fault. And for example, healthcare here, amazing, wonderful, healthcare free, but the process of, so for example, getting a family doctor. First of all, it's not like, oh, you just go, you find a doctor and you want them to be your family doctor. Nope. They have to decide. First of all, there are a lot of places where they're not taking new patients. Second of all, if they are taking new patients, they want to interview you to determine if they want you to be their patient. And I'm like, and then if you go to a doctor with something, right? Because healthcare is free and they know that, they capitalize on the fact that the government have to pay them. So if you go in for a consultation, they charge you for it. Not you, but the government, right? They will send you to do all kind of ridiculous tests, even though they know that that is not what is wrong with you, because every time they send you to do a test or to do a consultation, they draw out your um, treatment period so that they can get more money. So it's like, ugh, everything will have its pros and cons, but I'm just saying, these are some of the things that I wish I knew before I came, because not that it would have prevented me from coming, but you would know, like, you'd be mindful about certain things, because it's very frustrating. And when I was going through the process of, like, finding a doctor and stuff like that, I was like, what? So yeah, next thing here, I knew this, but I didn't know it was this bad. Winters here are brutal. When I before I came here, I thought, winters, there would be winter here, of course, but it wouldn't be like Arctic, you know. But let me tell you, I think last year we went all the way up to like minus 31 time in real field temperature. And that was one of the days where I had to go to work. Like, I had to walk to the bus stop, be at the bus stop. Let me tell you, man, I cried. My eyelashes were there was ice on my eyelashes, and I was like, what is this, what is this? And winters here last 5 months. 5 months. So that is something that you definitely have to prepare for. You have longer months of winter than you do of summer or warmer months. And if that is something that you believe is going to no, it's not something that you believe, it is going to affect your mental health, your physical health as well, if you're not careful, because you're not able to go outside and walk and work out and do certain things. But I believe that this is one of the biggest things that persons have to think about and consider. Will you be able to live in a country where 5 out of the 12 months of the year is freezing, right? And even so, in the springtime, temperatures can get as cold as 8 degrees, right? 3 degrees. Sometimes it still snows in spring. So it's even more than 5 months. Talk on an additional month to that. So 6 months out of the year. So half of the year you're freezing cold and just the weather is not great. So you have to think about that. You really and truly have to think about that. And to go into the next point is that because the winters are so long and the summers are so short, when it comes down to summer, it's like a mad dash. Like, it gives you a little bit of anxiety to it gives you anxiety to sort of want to do things in the summer because you're like, okay, I only have like 4 months of summer, 3 months, not 4 months of summer. You don't get 4 months of summer. You get 2 months of summer, right? Because you have fall, which is like, it's cool, not too hot, not too cold, but sometimes it get cold in the fall too. So the weather here is very bipolar, by the way. But for the 2 or 2.5 months that you get of summer, it's like a mad dash of everybody for deck out them lawn, get flowers for grow, for water them grass, to walk, to exercise, to go out, to enjoy, to buy summer clothes, to make sure you wear all of the summer clothes that you buy. To go, it's like every weekend people are like, okay, I have to go here, I have to go. It's too. It's like a race. It's like, I can't enjoy this because it's gonna end soon. Coming from a country where there are no seasons but summer, the only season I know is rainy season and regular sunny days, right? We don't have winter, fall, spring. We just have it hot, it nice today, or it's raining. So it's very, very difficult. It has been very difficult when you have the summers, and I have just been like, oh my god, I have to do here. I have to buy all these clothes and I need to wear them because then you can't wear them again. And then by next year come summer again, all of them clothes they go out of style. You're not gonna wear them again. You're gonna wear the new whatever new comes out for the summer. So it's, I don't know how to do it. I'm still trying to figure it out myself, but bear that in mind. Oh, and yeah, that was the last thing. That was the last thing that I wanted to talk about. Those are all the things that I wish I knew before I came here to Canada. And for all of you that are coming here, good luck. And with all that being said, Canada is a wonderful place, wonderful, wonderful place. It just takes some adjustment, more so than any other country. Not more so than any other country, more so than a lot of other countries. I believe the transition would have been easier if I had moved to the US. So yeah, those are the things, guys, and thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. And like I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.